Okay, fun one today. I'm going to go from top support position to handstand is in as many different ways as I can. So this top support position here, so it could be open hip. I actually can't extend because I'm so tall. I can't extend all the way down, but basically this top support position here, and then when I end up in a handstand position, I'm going to go for as many different ways as I can. So testing the creativity and also the strength, both in the bent arm position and the straight arm position. So let's just go through the basic ones to start with. Tuck, L sit to handstands are probably the most common one on P bars. So tuck position, coming through, pushing up. So obviously a bent arm press into handstand from the rotation from that L sit position. So passing through that L sit to shoulder stand. So you know I talk about this one a lot, this L sit position through to this shoulder stand. So using that to get you up into the handstand. So that's the tuck one. But obviously that's primarily, especially the up into handstand, is a BAS, a bent arm strength movement. So let's do exactly the same. So tuck L to handstand, but this time let's make it a SAS, so straight arm scapular strength. So I'm not allowed to bend the arms. So a little bit harder. Zero warm up as well, guys. So I'm using these ones as warm up. That was a bit of a push, but I got there. Maybe there was a micro bend in that right arm, but so that's a straight arm movement, exactly the same, but one's bent arm, one's straight arm. So let's do the same, but let's start in a straddle L sit. So first, let's do the BAS one. So I'm gonna move the bars in a little bit closer together, so it makes it a little bit easier to get into the straddle position. So straddle position, now go through to bent arm, push up. Oh, I'm hitting the ceiling of the undercover. We've got storms at the moment in Perth, so that's why I'm sort of sheltering at the same time. The straight arm version, so same thing, so straddle L sit now. So straight arm or Stalder press. Most people will know this. So let's move it over to make sure I don't hit my feet, but exactly the same thing, but now I'm just gonna keep the arm straight, go from a straddle L position. Oh, hit the roof again. I'm sort of changing the rules as I go now because I'm sort of not really been in that top position. So I'm just going to basically go to handstand. So I'm going to enter the handstand on P bars. So let's just go for some jumps now, make them slightly easier. So slightly easier from a strength point of view. So from this position here, I can jump to handstand. So create a little bit more space. I'm going to jump my handstand. I'm going to pass through tuck to start with. So a jump, passing through some sort of tuck. Ooh. So windy. So that's a tuck jump to handstand. Well, now with the straddle position, I have to be careful because of these bars. So I can't start here. I'm going to have to start back a little bit further. So when I jump, my legs can go out to the side through straddle. Get some clearance. So those long legs again. So back here, more on the edge of the P bars. So jump, pass. Ooh, that's not going to work. Feels safe. So jump, pass through straddle. So let's do the same but go through pike now. So with the pike, we still bend the knees to get the jump, but then we straighten the legs and keep them straight on the entry through. So pike jump. So notice with that one, I had to do it with a slight bend in the arms. So let's go back to more of the pressy type movements now. We'll keep with the pike, but let's do a pike press, but from an L sit. Now let's do the same as that, but with the bent arm version. So 9. So where these ones would tuck, well, let's go L sit. So L sit, pike, bent arm, press the handstand. So exactly the same what we just done, but definitely easier for most people than the straight arm version. We'll just bend the arms as we go through. So starting that, put it here so you can see. So straight legs, as I come through, bend the arms. Yeah. Push. Back down through the bent arm. Pike. Through to the L sit. Number 10, let's go full beast mode now. So straight body. Bent arm press. Ideally with this one, I'll be able to do this from this position, but my feet are going to hit the floor. So I'm going to have to bend the knees slightly, but as I come through, I'm going to go into a straight body position. So similar to the pike through one, but you're not coming through with a bent or closed hip. You're trying to keep the hip open, which makes it slightly harder, especially as you pass through this part. Obviously, any of these that you struggle with, you could do the eccentric, so the down only, which would be easier. So ideally, this would start from that support position, and then I come through. Yeah. Oh, big push. So windy. Okay, then a bit of fun and slightly easier, and it's basically the same thing as being on the floor. You could argue that if you're doing P-bars on the floor and working on your presses, you could do these ones. So I'm going to do 11. So standing, press. And obviously you could go through the different variations. So you could have straddle, tuck, and pike. So let's call that 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So to get this, obviously standing on the bars, just be careful because they're wet. So start with the tuck one first. So really push into that upper back. Through the tuck. Tuck back down. Straddle next. So passing through straddle, same thing. And then the L sit one. So L sit, I've got to try and get my hip much more up. Not sorry, L sit, pike. So with the pike, I've got to try and get the hip up and over much more. So more compression, trying to get the hip above the hands. So the arms don't need to bend. There. Back down. So that's 15 entries to handstand using these yellow P-bars or the high P-bars. I'd recommend if you're new to the high P-bars that you don't suddenly just try these entries on the high ones. Make sure you can do them on low P-bars first. Have something like this. You don't have to use P-bars. You could use the wooden boxes or something, IKEA steps, something that's got a little bit of elevation. The elevation do make things slightly easier because you can scoop the legs through. So here I can bring the legs below the hands, which makes some things easier, and take the head below the hands as well for things like shoulder stand, which makes that much more comfortable. So learn those positions first, like the shoulder stand and that. Get comfortable with them on medium to low P-bars first, and then upgrade to higher ones as you go. Now, if there's any that I've missed, because I've run them through these, I've sort of brainstormed them as I go along, stick it down in the comments, let me know. Let me know if there's any videos you want me to do on any of these specific ones, so go into a little bit more detail on each of them. Now, you want to get in touch or you're interested in doing any online coaching with me, this is my new website, www.paultwyman.com.au, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.